Welcome to Big Blend Radio with your hosts, Lisa and Nancy, editors of BigBlendMagazine.com.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Big Blend Radio's Eat, Drink, and Be Merry show with Nancy and Lisa. You know, we're the crazy mother-daughter travel team and publishers of Big Blend magazines, and that includes Eat, Drink, and Be Merry magazine. So every first Saturday, we welcome back travel writer Linda Kissam. She is known as the food, wine, and shopping diva. And she always brings amazing guests on our show. And she always finds really good things like really good wine. And once again, she's done it again. Eaight-at-the-Gate Winery in South Australia is our focus today. And we're very excited to have Jane Richards join us. Her and her sister, Claire Davies, own the winery. Now, we love women in wine. So this is very exciting. And we love the wine. So check it out. Eaight-at-the-Gate. So spell out eaight-at-the-gate.com.au because they're in Australia. But I want to welcome back Diva Linda first. Diva Linda, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you very much. I'm in sunny Arizona, and I think today is high 70s and we're headed for the 80s. So cool. Winter is over. Spring is past. I think you know that. You guys live in Phoenix or the area. It just sort of goes really quickly from winter to summer. So anyway, it's good.
Yeah, we're very excited. I know this is airing in March and we're recording this in February, and Nancy and I have just driven through some really crazy weather, and we're about to head near you back to 29 Palms. You know 29 Palms.
Very nice.
Apparently it's going to be 90 degrees when we're there, so we're very excited about that. No, I just want to go sit in the sun and bake, and drink wine. So that sounds good. But welcome, Jane. How are you?
Hi, thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm great. Thank you. We are, the weather here is pretty mild at the moment. We're in summer, so you guys have had a lot of crazy weather, but it's been pretty normal. We've had a lot of rain, actually.
So listen, what is this extra half hour that every time we do interviews in South Australia, there's this extra half hour? We have especially one, we have Dino Jag as a musician out in Adelaide, and he comes on our show all the time. There's always this extra half hour. And this is, I think, the last time he was on our show was an anniversary show, and was the first time in all these years that we actually got the time zone right. And we got your time zone right today for the first time. Like it just throws us off every time. What is that? Who created that?
I know. I don't know. There's too many places that actually do the half hour. It's usually, a full hour, but it's just because we're a bit further south than Sydney and Melbourne, which so that's and so they adjust us by half an hour. Australia doesn't do anything quite standard. Some people do daylight saving. So at the moment we're on daylight saving time, but we're always half an hour behind Sydney. So
wow. Yes, but you really make some exceptional wine. I have to say, you sent it to us. We got it while we were in Peachtree City outside of Atlanta, Georgia, and I've decided, Diva Linda, this is a new thing. You know how music, when you listen to songs, the songs bring back memories. And so this is the thing though, because the problem with wine though is like once that bottle's gone, that vintage is gone, it's gone, which really sucks because some wine you just want to hold on to, you just want the same thing and it's not going to happen. But it's also the beauty of it. But this wine has been through some interesting things. We went our anniversary show. We drank some of, I think it was the Shiraz. Did I say it right? I'm never going to get this right. Shiraz. Sure.
I say Shiraz. Shiraz. I say Shiraz. Syrah. It's Syrah spelt a different way. It's just Shiraz, Syrah, all the same.
Syrah. Just call it absolutely delicious. We had an anniversary show. We had a goodbye send off from Peachtree City to Natchitoches, Louisiana. We got to Natchitoches, Louisiana, had their wine with dinner, this amazing spaghetti sausage meal. It was really good. That was the Cab Syrah, that was the blend. And then we had one of the, I think it was the Chardonnay just a few days ago after driving from Natchitoches, Louisiana on 4 hours of ice roads,
That,
like
oh,
have not been plowed, like pure
Oh.
ice. And we
mm-mm.
got to our destination and we couldn't get out of our car because we were wrapped in
We were
ice.
frozen in our
And so I
car.
just said,
I
"We
never
need our
heard of
wine."
such a thing.
And so people have been sharing the wine with us, and it's been a big hit. And then so your wine has been all over. It's been in 3 states now, and done very well. And so I just have to say that I will never forget the Chardonnay because it was after being locked in the car in ice. There's just, I think sometimes
I just
that's
don't get
there's
it. I still
wine.
don't get it.
We have wine with food and pairings and all of these things, but then sometimes wine is also part of life experiences. And so I just want to give you a toast to Eaight-at-the-Gate because you've been through some interesting places all the way from Australia.
It sounds interesting. I've never heard of being frozen into a car either. Wow.
No.
It's the weirdest thing because you can't get out.
But
And
all
so
they had
you-
to do is
we-
open the door.
yeah, somebody from the outside could open the door, but we couldn't get out. We put the heater on because our mind said, put the heater on and whatever, because we know it's ice and it's cold, but that didn't work either. So we're like, man, you could actually get stuck in your car forever until someone lets you
Well,
out.
we had wine in the car, so that would have helped.
It was
but-
about to be opened.
and we got into the house in time to have the wine. So
Yeah.
Diva Linda, what was your experience tasting Eaight-at-the-Gate?
Well, luckily it came as you well, too, I don't know if Jane knows, but last summer, my husband and I went to Alaska on our boat.
Mhm.
And unbeknownst to me, we brought back a ton of fish, lots of fish. I just sort of thought we'd be eating it and then coming home with nothing, but we came home with quite a bit of fish. So I was able to do the Chardonnays with them, and really, really nice. We were able to figure out a shrimp dish that went really well with them and a halibut dish. And so sort of in my mind is sort of a fish pairing. The other, of course, was we did more of a meat dish with them. And, they're exceptional wines. And that's why I asked you to come on here. And not all the wines that I taste belong on a show like this. They're just sort of good or to average. And, yours were really exceptional. I love Australian and New Zealand wines. I love the flintiness of the whites and so forth. Anyway, and I like your story. I thought your story was very cute, but
Mhm.
your story won't get you, just your story won't get you here. But
No,
yeah,
it won't.
I liked it a lot, but we need more to talk about. So 4 wines, 2 reds, 2 whites. Thank you very much for sending them. And I think, am I right that they're coming to California very soon? Is that
Oh,
right?
cool.
Well, and actually, no, our wines are now available in the US. So that was a process, but we've actually set up a direct-to-consumer website. So that website that you read out before, just drop the AU and you're in the US site. So those 4 wines people can actually purchase in the US directly from us. So it cuts out a few layers of margins for, so
Mhm.
we were looking
Yeah.
for a distributor, but COVID made things very difficult. So we already had the wines on the water. So we needed to do something a little bit different. And so we're doing direct to consumer.
Oh, wow.
Very
In November.
cool.
That's a really huge because
That's
Eaight-at-the-Gate.com,
awesome.
right? Is that where everybody goes to get it?
Eaight-at-the-Gate.com. And if anyone's listening to here, I can give them a bit of a discount code for friends of the show. So it's not very original. It's just mates rates, all one word.
Mates rates. That's it. Because that's
Oh,
what
that's cute.
everyone's a mate. I love that because the wine really, like Linda was saying, is exceptional. And Nancy and I, especially on the whites,
Mhm.
we lived in South Africa for many years, and the white wine in
Mhm.
South Africa was amazing. And we're always chasing that flavor, that
That
taste.
flavor,
and,
yeah. That's close.
I don't know if you say flavor for wine, but yeah, we're
Well,
just that like you were saying, flinty, Diva Linda, and I'm like, there's a minerally, but then it still has, some taste, and there's this balance that comes with your wine that's nice and smooth. And I just
It's
really,
singing.
because a lot of times you'll get white wine and it's just like you're puckering around a bit, and I didn't want to pucker. And
Well,
I'm
all righty.
we're finding, I think America's getting better and better at white wines over the last 10 years, but yours were just so like, I felt right at home. I'm going to go
Mhm.
back to
Oh,
Africa,
thank
but we'll come to
Mhm.
Australia too. You know,
Well, I think you have to have wines have to serve a couple purposes, especially in the United States. And that is that we drink an awful lot of wine on the patio around our
Mhm.
pools
Mhm.
or, out in. So they have to be able to stand up just by themselves, perhaps with cheese or crackers, but just by themselves, and not have people go, wow, that was an interesting taste, but do you have any soda? So these are really good standalone wines, really good. And that's another issue in US is that we've all been brought up, your buyer pool has all been brought up on sodas, Snapple, and fruit drinks of sorts. So to get them to switch over to wines and stay with it can be a process. That's a good word for it, is a process. But anyway, yours are really good at standalone, good patio wines,
Mhm.
meaning you can give somebody a glass of wine when they come in and they're not going to say, I think it would taste better with shrimp. So, and then they're also very good, especially the reds I thought were very good with meats, and they didn't shout over the entrees. Now that's also important. I want to taste my wine, but I don't want it to be the first thing that I think of. It has to be sort of a natural progression and a natural, well, that's why they call it a pairing and not a shout out. So I thought, so that's why I like your wines. I think I'm glad to see that they're in the US, and I think it's not such a bad idea right now to do it direct to consumer, because we've been doing so much direct to consumer.
Mhm.
I think that's about to stop. I think we're going to come out of all the COVID restrictions here, all of them, very, very soon. But and I think we'll all be going back to the liquor stores and the wine stores and all of that. And maybe very soon you'll be able to find a distributor who. I know it's so hard for even the distributors to be able to go into the wine shops, right? They just and
There's so
the
many
supermarkets.
layers. In the US, there are so many layers that they call it the 3-tiered distribution system, and you've got 3 different people taking a margin, and that's just passing costs on to the consumer.
That's
so
right.
it's quite a different system than sort of navigating that. I'm glad you said that about the wines, because I actually lived in the US for 8 years. So I know exactly what you're talking about as far as lifestyle goes. I lived in New York for 6 years and then San Francisco for 2. And all my children were born in the US. So when we started making wine, Claire and myself, we actually purchased the vineyard sort of 20 years ago, and we'd been making wines for ourselves to drink in a style that we liked, because when you own a vineyard, you want to drink your own plonk, right? So we started. That's how it started, and we put it into a bottle but without a label, shared it with family and friends, and sort of finally over the years they convinced us to stick a label on it, and little did we know how much effort was required with that, but we do love it. And of course we've got the name Eaight-at-the-Gate comes from the fact that my sister and I had the vineyard together, and she has 4 children, I have 4 children, so there was always 8 children hanging off a farm gate or a back of a ute or something somewhere, watching us work or sometimes helping.
I love that, because even the number 8 is infinity,
Yeah.
Yes.
We always talk
if
about
you see
hummingbird
the
wings
logo-
go on the 8 too. When they
Mhm.
fly, they
Yeah.
create an 8. It's amazing.
Well, on our logo, the linking of the if you look at the way the G's link up, that's the 2 8s linking together, which is meant to symbolize 2 families together, and also it happens to be the infinity symbol. So
And you're also women in wine. I think this is so cool. I mean, it seems that it's growing and growing. Diva Linda, wouldn't you say over the years we've seen more women in wine? I mean,
Absolutely. It's not so different. It's not so strange to see them out in the vineyards, which is nice, not just in the tasting rooms serving wine. We see them out in the vineyards, and certainly in the barrel rooms and all the other back back end sort of things. And that's just a wonderful thing to see. It really is. We have some wonderful, not enough women winemakers, but they don't just have to be women winemakers. There's success in all the back end stuff that happens, and that support the winemaker in his or her vision. So yeah, I would agree with that.
Mm.
Well, it's interesting that the whole women in wine topic, it's one of those things we sort of almost, you want to be just a person in wine, but the reality is the number of women that stay in the industry, and it's not for lack of starting. If you look at the university levels, the number of men versus women going through the degrees and getting, a viticulture degree or an oenology degree, that it's easily 50-50. The problem comes in keeping them in the industry, and that's because it's really not friendly for families. You work ridiculous hours at certain times a year. You won't even get, 3 months over vintage. You barely see your family. So it's just not a flexible working place for women. And we all hope to change that. And I think we'll try, and it's a lot better than it was, but because Claire and I obviously owned our vineyard, we got to choose, and that's why we had the kids. The kids weren't in daycare, they were with us. So, but that's probably a little bit unusual. Most people don't have that opportunity. So it is a change. It'd be great to see it. It would be great to see it change. And I think we're headed the right direction. And so hopefully we'll see a lot more women in the industry. But it is not very child friendly.
I love also that, Diva Linda's got an article up on blendradioandtv.com. And it shares the story of Eaight-at-the-Gate, but also some recipes and some pairing suggestions. And I love that because even it just kind of gets people into the doing, and like, hey, I've got a recipe, I'm going to go get the wine. And all the time we're always thinking, get the wine, then what to do. And I think this gives the people this, let's create an experience. Nancy, we're talking about that. It's like there's an experience to be had with wine.
Absolutely.
And we were really excited when it arrived at the doorstep. When we were at Peachtree City, I'm telling people the wine's coming. Please watch for the wine. We're coming. I don't know who's coming first, but the wine, and it all arrived, And I'm like, it's coming all the way from Australia, people. This is important.
So cool.
And it is. It is because to us, it's like this wine went through the seas, or it's a big deal. I know when you go to a store, it's like, you got New Zealand, you got South Africa, you got all these different countries, Germany, and it's cool. But I think because we're in the store, it's kind of taken for granted where the wines come from, even though you shop sometimes by where wines come from. But when it comes to your doorstep, that this came all the way from there to you. And it was just this extra special touch. And it was just I don't know, I think that's exciting about what you're doing by the direct to consumer, where we can just get the special delivery. And I think for gifting, that is going to be something
special. It's really...
as we go more into, go back open. COVID needs to just go to that island where all the bad politicians are. We send COVID there. So, just go there. But, you know what I mean? Just go to that island that none of us want to see and just go away. But as we do open up, I think it's exciting too, because do you see people maybe even wanting to come to the winery? Are you open to the public in Australia, or you're like, no, we're just going to give you the juice, get off my land?
I can't work out what's going on at the moment. We've got some things open, some things closed. We're in quite a state of flux. I suspect by the time this actually airs, things will be a lot more open, but the whole summer period has really been in various stages of not necessarily, but with Omicron coming, it changed everything very quickly. So we were we were pretty chill about most things. We'd had very low case numbers, but that's because the borders were locked. No one was allowed to go anywhere. But we sort of pretty much weren't that affected as far as locals go. But of course, we didn't have the tourists, and we didn't have the travelers, and that's a really big part of the Australian wine industry. So we are looking forward to throwing open the borders, which is happening. I think it's just happened, and inviting everyone back. But we're about to go into vintage, so we are about to get very busy. We're starting to pick our Chardonnay in about probably 2 or 3 weeks. And then we keep going until the end of April, where we finish off with usually Cabernet.
Oh, wow.
So we've got 6 we have 60 hectares of vineyard, which is, so we
Wow.
grow about 600 tonne of fruit a year, which is that's a lot of bottles of wine.
That's
Oh
a
my
lot
gosh,
of
I want
bottles.
to come swimming.
Yeah. Sounds pretty good to me.
But you're going all the way through April, that which is really interesting. You know, when you think, you know, here in Diva Linda, we're used to fall, you know what I mean? And it's like, isn't it almost like 2 months for harvest in this country? Depending on where, I mean, Michigan
About
gets
that,
ice
yeah,
wine.
yeah. They start in some areas start in August, some start in September, and everybody's done by November, but mostly October. Yeah, it goes really fast. But those 2 months are a stranglehold on your life and your freedom, your personal freedom. And you know, after it's done, you know, you go, woohoo, yay, it's all done. Thank you very much. Didn't I have a lot of fun? I had so much fun, but we know not so much fun for you and the families, honestly, during those 2 months.
No,
But
and
you
with
know, just
challenges with labour too at the moment. So a lot of things that you could rely on people to do, we have to find other ways to do in the last, you know, during the COVID years, because we haven't had travellers, which, you know, we get a lot of backpackers, students coming for holidays, and they, you know, do picking and things like that. But we've had to all get a bit more creative.
So the kids are
that's
working now.
interesting.
Yeah, they're having to earn their supper a little bit.
Yeah,
That's-
you're not hanging out at the gate
that's-
anymore.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing, you know.
Now, why is there a lack of workers? Why do you have a lack of workers?
Because we'd get a lot of seasonal workers coming in from other countries,
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
Oh,
you know, students, particularly in the people studying wine from the US would come and do a vintage in Australia. So
Sure,
a lot of
sure.
exchange, you know, vintage exchange information. But of course, we don't have those at the moment, although who knows, we'll see what happens with this. I don't think for the last 2 years, we've been able to plan much more than about 2 weeks ahead at any one time anyway. So we just go with the flow.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
It's,
Mhm.
so you're doing Cab, you've got Shiraz, and you've got your Chardonnay, right?
Yeah.
And the
We actually-
Cab, go ahead.
No, sorry, I was going to say, we also grow Pinot Gris, but we just don't make wine out of it for ourselves. So we grow grapes. We only keep, this is sort of, I guess, what I was going back to before about why we make the wine the way we do. We choose the best parcels of wine in the best vintages for our label, because it's tough enough selling wine, let alone selling crappy wine. So when it's, you know, it has to be a certain grade to go into Eaight-at-the-Gate. And if it doesn't quite make that grade, we have contracts with other wine companies, and they buy the fruit and put it into their label, or we make bulk wine as well. So that's where a company might buy the wine and put it under their own label. So anything that goes into Eaight-at-the-Gate has come from our vineyard, and you know that it's picked out the best.
Yeah, because they're
bits of
single
wine.
vineyard. You've got the single vineyard, you know, single
Yeah.
estate, which is really
We just-
nice.
Yeah, we just have some blocks. Our region is just such a fantastic region for growing grapes. I mean, 20 years ago when I looked at purchasing, and I was living in the US at the time, and that's another story, but so I could really choose a vineyard anywhere, and I wanted a family project involved I came from a large family, 5 kids, and my sister had been a trained viticulturalist. She'd gone to the university and learned how to grow grapes, and she was working as a vineyard consultant. So she actually had planned this vineyard for the people who owned it before us. So she knew exactly what was underneath, because she'd dug all the soil pits to see what
nice.
was underneath.
Wow.
Mm.
Yeah. So, and this part of the country, it's part of a region called the Limestone Coast, and it's all riddled with underground caves and lakes, because it's all limestone base. So you've got that really great terroir of red dirt over limestone, which is just fantastic for growing grapes. And it's very similar to the soils of Coonawarra, which is sort of close to us. But Coonawarra is one long flat strip. So it's a real monoculture, and you've got vineyard after vineyard after vineyard. So when it comes to disease pressure, it's a lot more pressure when you've got that sort of monoculture, whereas Wrattonbully is a bit more undulating. So people would pick the eyes out and choose the best sections of land, but we haven't got anyone right next to us. There's a lot of vineyards in the region, companies like Treasury, which is Penfolds, 19 Crimes, that sort of, those Treasury owns all those labels. They had bought a lot of vineyards there because the region is a good, high quality, consistently producing region, which they need for some of their brands like Bin 389 and some of those premium Grange 707, those brands that have to sort of taste the same year after year. You need a bit of consistent quality. So that's why we chose Wrattonbully, because that access to fresh, clean underground water, which allows the vines to drain and not get soggy. And it's just the grape. I mean, they just grow really good fruit. So we honestly don't do very much. We sort of have the philosophy of provide a bit like our children, provide a good, nurturing, safe environment, and then don't interfere too much.
So you don't have to do too much in regards to pesticides and things like that?
No, God, no. Sorry, we don't. Because our
That's
vineyard is
good
just
though.
very naturally healthy, because
That's awesome.
we have planted all around, natural bush that attracts the beneficial insects. So we just don't have that sort of pressure. I mean, we're not
That's cool.
what you would, we're not, yeah, well, it's what none of us want to spray anything, because it costs money to put a spray out. That's the bottom line.
It's not good for us.
It's not good for anything either.
No, well, yeah, that's right. But it's also just it's a farming decision. The less that you have to interfere with the natural order of things, the better. So
yeah, absolutely.
So we focus very much on sustainable farming practices. We also run sheep. So we have a black Suffolk stud, which is these cute little black sheep with black faces and black feet and we put them through the vineyard in the seasons.
Really?
Yeah, so
That's great. Because I know they do ducks and geese, right?
Yeah, we saw vineyards that do ducks and geese.
Yeah, we have guinea fowl as well. That's what
Oh, they rock.
They eat.
Cool.
And they eat snakes.
Do they? I wouldn't know about that. I think in Australia, the snakes we've got would kill them. But anyway.
Yeah, you have the real snake. South Africa was snake land, but Australia, you guys win. I think you guys win on that. But guinea fowl do eat snakes. We have a friend who's a rancher up near where we are today in Lubbock, Texas. She's in a town called Wink. Wink, but she does. Her family is a very historic cattle ranching where they don't go on their little ATVs and drive their cattle. They're on horseback doing it the old school way. And by the way, Roy Orbison grew up there, and they have a museum for Roy Orbison. So we want to go see her and Roy Orbison's museum, because that's important. But she said they have guinea fowl, and the guinea fowl get rid of the rattlesnakes.
You know what else they do? Guinea fowl get rid of really mean roosters.
Yes, when we did a farm stay, Nancy got chased by a rooster for over half an hour.
No, he really stopped
and
me
the guinea fowl helped her
and wouldn't let me pass. He flew at my face with its claws out. I'm like, "You're a rooster. What the heck is that?" And the guinea fowl came to the rescue, and they surrounded him. And then somehow a coyote got the rooster the next day. Down at the creek at the bottom of the property.
By the river.
Down by the river, the rooster went bye-bye.
So it's a Neil Young song.
I think the guinea fowl just went, "You know what? We're herding you down here because we know the coyotes are there." They were very helpful.
Now,
Sorry,
do you have any animals like that? Do you have like fox, or I know you guys have dingoes, right? Or are they as prevalent, or?
Dingoes not around where we are. They're up in the sort of the centre in the Northern Territory. But in terms of protecting sheep, we have alpacas that we put alpacas in with our sheep to protect them from foxes. Because we have foxes where we are, and they come and eat the lambs, which is very nasty. But the alpacas just headbutt them and keep them away. Yeah, it's really quite. They've got this. They're a strange little creature.
Soccer players.
Gorgeous,
wow.
Yeah,
I never knew that.
They've got long necks and they headbutt them.
Wow.
Linda, did you know we'd be talking about this? Headbutting alpacas?
Tell me a little bit about your price points in your wines that you're going to be selling online, or that you are selling online.
Yeah, sure. The Chardonnay that it's the 2018 Chardonnay that sits at $19.99 on the website. The Cabernet Shiraz, that's US dollars. Cabernet Shiraz sits at $24.99. Now I have to remember all these in US dollars. The family selection Chardonnay is, I think, I want to say that's 30. Let me just check. Sorry. I think it's $34.99 on our website.
That's not bad at all.
And the family selection Shiraz, which is the premium Shiraz, is, oh no, sorry. The family selection Shiraz is $39.99. The Chardonnay, $34.99. And the Cab Shiraz is $27.99.
Amazing.
And to be honest, I would normally work those in round dollars, but somehow I got advised in the US that they like seeing the 99 cents. So
9s and 5s and
That's
7s.
funny. That's funny.
You have to have the 9, 5, and 7.
Yeah.
And
You have
so
to-
is shipping free or if you buy
free
X
with,
amount?
yeah, we're not allowed to say free. So we'll
Oh.
pay for the shipping if you order 12. Apparently you're not allowed to say free shipping.
Oh,
But we cover the shipping if you order
Okay.
12 bottles or more, and
Oh.
6 bottles or more, there's a discounted rate. I think it's a flat rate of $10, maybe $15. So we do subsidize the shipping. So and if you use that coupon code Mates Rates, you'll get a 15% discount anyway. So
Ooh, lovely.
Get on it,
Um,
everybody. So with this,
Oh.
so is your wine over here, or is it like,
Yes.
like it came all the way from Australia, but you have like a stock here, or are you shipping it
Yeah,
directly from
exactly.
Australia?
no, we've warehouse. Yeah, no, it's the shipping should not take that long. At the moment, shipping is pretty awful in the US, but it's not a slow boat from Australia. We've warehoused the wine in California. So
Oh.
depending on which part of the country you live, and we're available in nearly every state. There's only about, I'm just looking at my map, I think we can't sell into Utah, Michigan, Kentucky, or Mississippi, but pretty much everywhere else we can sell into. So
You know, I once took a class on wine compliance.
Ooh,
That was the worst
God.
class of my life. And let me tell
Yeah,
you, I
you-
have a
I
lot
can
of
imagine
education.
that.
At this
Well,
point, when you just
you-
said that, I want to have like a bourbon
I
or
wanna
something when you
drink.
said
Yeah,
that.
I mean, you come in and they give you a notebook that's at least that high.
oh boy.
That's on day one, and that's not the only thing they do. But so, you know, my heart is out to anybody that ships wine anywhere in the United States, because they make it so laborious. There are so many, you don't want to know why wines cost so much. The paperwork is unbelievable.
Mm.
And if you don't read each state's requirements correctly, along with the federal government and state requirements, you get nasty little letters and little you owe me X amount of money because you screwed up letters. And I mean, it could take a small producer out really fast, and you have to have a compliance officer who understands this. I mean, once you get it in your head, it's like, oh yeah, you know, you can't go to Maryland, you can't go to Texas. If a Utah person wants to pick up 2 bottles of wine and put it in the suitcase in California and take it home, then that's okay. It's just crazy. I mean, it takes more time to figure out who's on first base than anything I've ever seen. You know, that wasn't a job for me, but as a director of a wine region, I wanted to understand, and I would say understand their pain. If the winery members' pain, that was just stupid, actually.
Yeah.
Well, you
I
go,
feel for you.
Diva.
No, Diva got pissed.
Yeah.
Diva went on a rant.
Of all the stupid ass things, why can't they just like be a flat tax and a flat, you know, send it to wherever you want, and this is the amount of money, and have a nice day. But that 3-tier system that we have that you were talking about is embedded, it is ingrained, it makes a lot of money for a lot of people, and really tough to get around. You can't get around it, but
But isn't that
Yes.
the beauty of your relationship with your sister? She's out doing the wine in the field. You obviously all get into the field and really work, but you know, with your background in corporate, does that help you have that balance between the two of you? And are you dealing with all the paperwork?
Yes, it does actually. It's funny because it just works out that way, that we have our own lanes and we'll cross over in some things, but she very clearly is in charge of the vineyard. But so she grows the grapes, and because we not only grow our grapes, we actually manage vineyards for other people as well. So she does all of that.
Wow, you
And
guys
then
are
once
busy gals, I
Wow.
should say.
Good for
Wow.
you. Awesome. Yeah.
Once it turns into.
Now,
Sorry,
how
keep
old are
going.
how old are the 8 kids now?
Well, now they are, the oldest is 22 and the youngest is 14. So they're starting to, I've actually had my oldest one leave the nest. She's actually gone to be a teacher in Darwin, which is right at the opposite end of Australia, up the
Mhm.
top.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Mm.
I've been there. Oh,
Wow,
my gosh.
wow. Well, the
Wow.
rest
And-
are ready for working.
Yeah.
Get
Oh,
them out of the
they all
vineyard.
pitch.
Do you
They
have any of
totally
them
all
that-
pitch in when they can.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really nice.
do any of
I
them
think-
seem to have a viticulture mind or a business mind?
We've got a, yeah, it's interesting. We've our best helpers are our 2 middle daughters, and that's in driving tractors and things like that. They're quite,
Oh, cool.
quite
Right
good on the
on.
machinery.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, honestly, the girls are softer on the equipment, and that's like they just don't. They look after the equipment better than the boys, and equipment costs money, so you don't want it broken. So those 2 are
Interesting.
the sort of best hands-on. And my son is very interested in animals. He's looking at doing a veterinary course or something like that. So it's not quite viticulture, but we're not going to
But that's nice.
impart what. Yeah, if I think everyone will go off and do their own thing for a while, and then maybe 1, 2, 3 or 4 of them will come back into the business at some stage, but it's entirely up to them. It's their lives. And Claire and I are, you know, we're getting on, but we've still got many more years in us. But I mean, one of the reasons for the US, obviously, it's a country that speaks English, which makes it appealing from a doing business perspective. But me having 4 American children, you know, the reality is at some point in the future, they are going to want to go back and live in the US for a period of time. And so we're quite determined to succeed in the US, hence going to the expense and trouble of what Linda was saying before of setting up a direct to consumer.
Well,
system,
maybe your children will come back here, run for office and change all these stupid laws we have to put up with.
For wine, especially.
Wow.
Yeah, it should be
It is-
wine. Wine
think-
should flow everywhere in every state without any of this red tape
Like
stuff.
waterfalls. you
Yes,
know?
waterfalls of wine.
Yes.
You
It
know?
all it goes back so far. It goes back to prohibition, all the rules
Exactly.
that happened around
That-
prohibition. And it's
Right.
I think Linda's right. It's not changing anytime soon, I don't think. So
Well,
Well, you know,
so-
I know when we were in
it's so
Arkansas,
weird.
Little Rock, there's a distillery in Little Rock,
Mhm.
and they were the first ones to distill after Prohibition.
Yeah.
And they're in downtown Little Rock, and they do bourbon, gin, vodka.
Mhm. And it's
I
good.
remember doing the interview and taking a sip, and all of a sudden not being able to talk. It was like one of those rare moments. But I mean, they had to change the laws to become a
Yep.
distiller in the state and then in
Mhm.
Little Rock. So they go through 2. Then they decided, you know, it's bourbon, then we're doing gin, then we're doing vodka. You know, once you're a distillery, they're like, hell yes, we're going to town,
Mhm.
because we
Yeah.
went through all that hell to get to here. Then they decided, you know what? We're going to do cocktails. And that
Mhm.
opened up a whole other
Whole other thing.
thing. And because, and it, again, all of it went back to Prohibition. And
Yeah.
now they do craft cocktails and tours and all of that. But the amount of work that
It's
Phil
crazy.
went into is
Mhm.
insane. But I will tell you, they do craft an amazing bourbon. I mean, everything is really good there, but they really, I think the amount of work they had to do, it was like, you go big or go home. And do you feel that way? Like you cannot do all that work and not really I mean, your wines, like Linda was saying, you can have a great story and people are like, oh, that's nice, or a nice label. But it is about the taste, and your wine is exceptional quality. I mean, we were quite sad when it went away, but now I
Yes.
know you ship in direct, and you know, I know, you know, we won't go. Well, we like Mississippi, but we'll be in Washington State next. You know,
Yeah.
get it there. You know, so it makes us happy to know that it's available because it's really good. But I think you have gone through all of that trouble for us to all be able to have it. It is about. Don't you feel that extra commitment to the whole business?
We're definitely committed. We of course would like to find a distributor because that's we'd like
Helpful,
to
Mm.
offer have it available much more easily than over a website. But I
Mhm.
think having that, we do like having a direct connection with our customers. One of the things I don't know if you saw on the bottle, but we've put a NFC chip. So this little gold chip it's actually a digital chip, and if you wave your smartphone over it, it's not quite like a QR code, but because you don't need an app or anything like that. You just wave your smophone and it takes you to a window that gives you all the tasting notes, the reviews,
Oh,
bit of
wow.
video
How
of
cool.
us. Yeah,
Very
we're trying
cool.
to get closer to the customers so that,
Mm.
because one of the things that I always hated about wine when I was learning about it or just getting introduced is I always felt like I always felt stupid, and there's all these words I don't understand and all this sort of thing, and intimidated
Mhm.
by it.
Mhm.
Wine shouldn't be like that. It's no right or wrong. It's what you like. But for people who want to be able to sort of go to somewhere and feel a bit more confident about what they've purchased. So having all that information right there on the bottle, because the label's so small, you can't fit it all.
Mhm.
And they can just pull out their smartphone and show whoever about the wine. And it's got our story and some videos of us and
That's nice.
all that sort of thing. So just trying to connect with the customer a bit better, and especially with, at the moment, we're so far away. And we've got plans to be able to do with that particular chip. You're talking about gifting before. We're working with the company that created the chip to try and, I've set up things to send personalized messages to people on it, because the chip is specific to a particular bottle, so you can actually customize it. But we haven't quite
Oh,
got that
wow.
worked out. But that's hopefully coming.
But
That's
that
amazing.
gets rid of that snobby thing. Like, I
Exactly.
know coming from the art field, like that the art galleries for a long time had this kind of snobby thing where you couldn't walk in unless you were dressed a specific way, and that the art gallery owners would look you up and down like, are you a buyer or are you just looking? And I mean, obviously you need to look before you buy. So it's kind of a snobby kind of thing, like only rich people can own art. And then people started printing art and that all went out the window.
Yeah. Well, it's just, I think as a wine industry, we try and we overcomplicate things with words and things, and that, I mean, some people want to hear all that and they want to know all the stats on things. But if somebody's wanting to enjoy, like Linda said before, a glass of wine on the patio with friends, it doesn't need to be that complicated, but you might want to know what it tastes like or what it works with. And maybe it's the stories behind wines that make them special too. It's got to taste good, but
yeah, it's got to taste good.
We wanted to make sure that people knew we were a real family, real people behind the label. We're not a corporate, and we're not being told what to do by somebody else, which is why we can make the wines in the style that we want to make, because we don't answer to anybody else. Whereas so many corporates are under pressure to produce a wine every year, same style, this, year after year. And we don't even do consecutive vintages. Like, for instance, we did the 2016 the 2016 Cabernet Shiraz that's over there now. The vintage before that was 2015, and then we skipped 2014 and had 2013 because 2014 wasn't a good enough year to put into our bottles. So by being the type of business we are, we can choose to do that. So you can be sort of guaranteed that if you've tried one Eaight-at-the-Gate wine and you're looking at the next vintage, you'll be happy with the next one as well, because it's had to go through that.
But I like that element of surprise, but I also like you find if wine is all the same, that bulk wine, I mean, it's great for table wine or those kind of things, patio parties, all of that. But to me, like, knowing that bottle, it's gone once it's gone, then you have that. It's wah. I get wah about it. But if it was always there the same way, you lose that specialness of it. And like your wine, even the bottle, I was like, when we got to the place where we're iced in, we're all sitting there having the wine, and it was nicely chilled, by the way.
Yes, it was.
It was like, I recommend everybody drive around in a frozen car and your wine will be perfectly
So
still.
weird.
But
So weird.
it was perfect. But even the label, I was looking at the label and the
Mm,
paper even was quality. It was like, wow, this
nice.
isn't just slapped on
Nice,
there. You know,
nice.
there's a lot
Yeah.
of thought and we
Oh,
really appreciate that.
Mm-mm.
And it's true. You don't, you can't tell Diva Linda what to do. You can't tell Nancy and I what to do. And I love that. I think as entrepreneurs, that whole part
Mm.
is, and if it screws up, then we know, okay, it screws up and that's being
You
part of,
just
that's
change
part of
it.
the journey,
Yeah.
you know?
You learn from
Now,
it
if
and
people,
change.
if people want to go on social media, what hashtag would they find you guys under?
everything is pretty much 8 at the gate, which is all spelt out in letters. So not the number 8, but EIGHT-AT-THEGATE.
Okay.
And I would love it if people followed my social media account, because it's one thing, you know, I've got all these teenage kids, they should be good at it, right? But they're all too busy doing their own social media. So I do all the socials, which is a massive learning curve for a mum like me, but I'm trying.
Well, we'll follow you. I think we are. And
Mhm.
thank you for joining us. And Diva Linda, you rock
Mhm.
bringing amazing guests on our show. And
Yeah.
of course,
Thank
the
you.
wine. I mean, it's just it just was a real treat for us. We really
Mhm.
we're like, and each bottle was something special, you know, and it was at a special time and
Mhm.
defrosting too. So, defrosting times. But thank you so much again, everyone. Diva Linda's article is up on Blend Radio and TV.com. It'll be in the upcoming issue of Eat, Drink, Be Merry magazine, along with many of her other stories on wines and foods and coffee and all kinds of good places. And so check that out and keep up with 8 at the Gate. Go to 8atthegate.com and follow Diva Linda at allingoodtaste.info. And of course, keep up with us at bigblendradio.com. And every first Saturday, you'll hear Diva Linda on the show with us. So thank you so much, ladies, and
Thank you,
cheers.
ladies.
Here's to women and wine.
Right.
Cheers.
Thank you. Absolute pleasure.